Okay, this is the recording for the insurance tape. This is our house. Yes, Mike?
Where are you?
I'm up here. Other little artifacts. There's a little end table and a Gucci lamp. JBL speakers, telephone, an old Japanese antique kimono. Well, this, of course, is the living room.
Flames erupt in the hills of Oakland, claiming property, and now tonight, at least 10 lives, and the biggest urban fire in California history still burns out of control as we speak.
My son and I had gone to a Cal football game, and there were fire trucks up on the corner of Grizzly Peak and Marlboro. Everything was under control, and we went home. So that night, when I got home, my wife at the time said she didn't want to be married anymore. So the next morning, she had left to go down to the Claremont Hotel, and I was looking at the front of the house. So I'm not in a particularly great mood, but the Santa Ana winds were coming from the valley up over the hill. And so it was hot and dry and really windy. And I said, oh, that fire from the day before, I guess that maybe started again. My neighbor Doris came running down the street going, Jim, look, look. And then I looked at the eastern sky and it was just like filled with smoke. And then you could see 3 houses on fire, flames 40 feet in the air. And at that point I decided, well, I would take my son down the hill. That was sort of the first priority. We had 2 dogs, very willful dogs. They were huskies. And so I called to them and they said, yeah, right. And I said, okay, I'm not concerned. I can get them when I come back too. Because in my mind, I figured I had 10 minutes. I was wrong. So when I drove back up the canyon, there was a fire truck pulled across the road. He stopped me from driving up. And so I got out and I said, I've got to get my dogs. And he goes, you won't come back. And I remember looking at him and I saw this little flash of panic in his eyes. And I remember this very, very distinctly. What that little flash told me is, I've been fighting fires for 20 years and I've never seen anything close to this. The first time that we came back up to the property, it was about 2 weeks after the fire. I drove up with my son. It was like driving on the moon. There was no color. Everything was black, white, or gray. You had chimneys sort of like sticking up like tombstones because they didn't burn. And there's good news and bad news on the dogs. 1 dog made it and 1 dog didn't. Some workers from East Bay Mud had seen her sort of wandering around and just threw in the back of their truck and took her down to the SPCA. And when we went down to the SPCA, Nastasia heard my voice and started howling. When I saw her, it was like it was like she looked like a cat that had been sprayed down with water because her fur was burnt, her feet were blistered, her eyes were ulcerated, and she was calling out, in her own pain and suffering. The good news about that is that she survived and stayed on for another 6 years. I respect fires in a way that I did not perhaps before, because I didn't really think about it. Now when I see a wildfire and I hear about it, I understand, because I know how quickly things moved with this fire. I know that natural disasters can come unplanned and change your life. If you had told me on Monday that there were going to be 2 significant events this weekend, there's going to be an announcement that you're going to get divorced and you're not going to have your home anymore, I would say that's insane. But, come Monday, I was homeless and divorced for all intents and purposes. I try to keep a defensible space around the house, which the fire department enforces anyway. I'll tell you this, the fire was the easiest move I ever made in my life. I had nothing to move. And I was fortunate. I make light of it a little bit, but I had insurance, and so that I was fortunate in that respect. So I got more stuff, but I don't care about stuff as much. I have more stuff, I got more stuff, but I'm not attached to stuff in the way that I was in the past. What matters are the people in your life, and that's the most important thing.
And one kid who is very happy, he's not part of the garden now.